What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse back in another video. In today's video we have another Chelsea news video. I know there wasn't one that was up technically yesterday. It's 1 in the morning. I had a lot of stuff to do yesterday, so just got back and I felt the need to fill y'all on all things Chelsea news. It's a pretty major news video today. There's a lot that kicked off, so let's just jump straight into it. Beginning with Alejandro Garnacho still being linked to Chelsea. Chelsea still maintain an interest in Alejandro Garnacho as an option in case Manchester United want to open a proper negotiation for Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea would be open to doing a type of swap deal. We know the type of swap deal is most likely a PSR deal where Manchester United would pay us the fee that we want for Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea would pay Manchester United the fee they want for Garnacho. So we may end up spending 55 for Garnacho, and they may end up spending like 90 on Nicholas Jackson just so it looks better on the books. They get a higher profit, we get a higher profit. We can amortize the deal. It looks better in terms of PSR and UEFA rules as well. So that's probably the type of swap deal that we most likely do. Again, I don't really want to bring in Alejandro Garnacho. I can't express that enough every single video. Not really someone that I want to bring in, but if we do, I'm going to support him. Do think he could be a dynamic little winger for us if he does come through the door, but just not someone I want to bring in. But we have maintained an interest for a while now, and nothing's really been acted upon it. So don't anticipate Alejandro Garnacho becoming a Chelsea player, but he has been linked very frequently as of recent, so maybe there's something there, especially if Nicholas Jackson does go the other way. But speaking on Nicholas Jackson's priority is to stay and fight for a place at Chelsea. If that's not possible, he'd be keen on a move to Man United. If that's not possible is basically if Maresca just freezes him out the team and says, hey, you don't really have a role here. We anticipate João Pedro playing as a 9. We anticipate Liam Delap playing as a 9. That leaves you as a third striker. You're not going to play that much. We know you're better than a third striker role. So it's better for you to get a new challenge off somewhere else. But I do like that his priority is to stay and fight for a place. That shows that he wants to get better. He wants to play for Chelsea at the end of the day. And I think that's a good mentality to have wherever you're at. Even if you're unsatisfied, I think you should always fight for a place to, prove that you're at the top of your game, you're at the best of your abilities, and I think Nicholas Jackson wants to do that here at Chelsea, so I fully back him on that. If he wants to train harder than he's ever trained, if he wants to push himself harder than he's ever pushed himself, just to fight for a spot to stay at Chelsea, then I'm more than happy to, welcome him to stay at the club and not cash in. Again, if we cash in, I'd be happy. If we keep him, I'd be happy. I think he's a good enough player to keep around, but I think he's also good enough to sell and get a massive amount of profit on him. But if his priority is to stay, if he wants to fight, if he wants to train and become a better striker than he did last year and really contribute to what the team wants to do next season, then by all means let him stay, let him do his thing and see if he can excel in this new Maresca system that he seems to be trying out. So yeah, I don't know if that swap deal's really possible. We know that Manchester United are unlikely to make a bid right now. We saw that in yesterday's video, and so that probably makes the Alejandro Garnacho swap deal not as feasible, especially if Nicholas Jackson does want to stay and prove himself. But moving on to other news, we have this exclusive from Florian Plettenberg, as well as Philip Fizine, or Fins, yeah, Philip Fins. There's an exclusive about Carney Chukwuemeka. Red Bull Leipzig are now pushing to sign him. Leipzig have open talks over the 21-year-old central midfielder from Chelsea. Further steps are planned for Wednesday, which is, technically today, but when this was posted, tomorrow. And Leipzig have also now been informed that Chelsea want to sign Xavi Simons. Red Bull Leipzig are prepared to sell. A verbal agreement between Xavi and Chelsea is close, but not 100% done yet. Verbal agreement on personal terms, that is. I do expect that to get over the line, and I do expect Xavi Simons to become a Chelsea player, which is very exciting. But I think this is perfect. We are looking to actively sell Carney Chukwuemeka. I talked about the bomb squad, and I talk about the bomb squad a lot in my videos. And Carney Chukwuemeka is one of those players that is on Chelsea's bomb squad, but does retain a lot of interest because he's young. He's an exciting talent. Looked pretty decent at Dortmund, so I think we could get a pretty decent fee for him. Maybe send him to Leipzig for around 35 million, get Xavi Simons for 55, something like that, or 40 and 60, something like that. Somewhere where Leipzig make around 20 million technically, but on the books it does look good for us, kind of like that Garnacho Jackson swap deal. So potentially there's a swap deal to happen with Chukwuemeka and Xavi Simons, which I actually expect to go through. Because I do think Carney Chukwuemeka does look good in the Bundesliga, and I think that'd be an excellent signing for Leipzig to not necessarily replace a Xavi Simons, but to play in that central midfield role. And yeah, they open talks. I do expect this to get done. If they want the player to come over there, he'd definitely be keen on the move. I think he just wants game time at this time in this time of his career. And I think Leipzig could definitely guarantee that for Carney Chukwuemeka, and that would mean Xavi Simons comes the other way, which I think everyone in the Chelsea fan base is very excited about. So, I think this is actually a perfect opportunity for us to make a lot of money. Obviously, the net spend is negative 20 million if Xavi Simons does come in and Carney Chukwuemeka does go the other way. At least we're anticipating a 20 million loss, but on the books it technically isn't 20 million. We're technically making a profit, just due to the amortized deal of Xavi Simons being spread out across multiple years. So that 60 million fee, hypothetically 60 million. If it's 60 million pounds, excuse me, hypothetically, but he's on like a 7-year deal. That's 60 million spread across 7 years, and then we get the 40 million all in for Carney Chukwuemeka if there's no add-ons included. So yeah, it seems like Carney Chukwuemeka could be off to Leipzig, which I'd be totally in favor of because again, money for us, and that means we can pretty much just fund the Xavi Simons deal with the Carney Chukwuemeka money. So a perfect swap deal for Carney to go to Leipzig and Xavi Simons to come the other way, who we'll talk about later in this video. But Simon Johnson of The Athletic actually posted an article today talking about players' price tags. And Chelsea are looking for 50 million euros, including add-ons to sell João Felix. I think this equates to around like 43.5 million pounds. Obviously, we know Benfica are in for him. They want to bring the player back to the club that he grew up playing for. I don't know if they'd be able to spend all that 43.5 million pounds, but if we get something around that, I think that looks great. Obviously, we signed Joao Felix as a favor to Atletico Madrid for signing Conor Gallagher. It wasn't really, oh, we want Joao Felix, we want to bring the player in. I was kind of excited for him to come through the door, though. I think he is a very quality player, but I just think he hasn't really felt at home since leaving Benfica. So I think going back there and just resetting his career there will be best for him, and I think Benfica understand that too, and that's why they want to bring the player in, because he's an exceptional talent. He has all the talent in the world at his feet. It's just he really needs to feel at home with an arm around his shoulder to succeed, and I think Benfica does do that for him. And if we get that 43.5 million, then by all means let them pay up. I'd be ecstatic with that. And more on price tags, actually, we have Christopher Nkunku, same article. Chelsea have dropped Christopher Nkunku's asking price from 65 million to 43 million pounds. I think you could get around 50 for him. This is the same price as Joao Felix. It's the 50 million euro mark. Fair enough. If you get that for Nkunku, it's a profit on the books because of the amount of time we've had him. And I think that's what Chelsea's really just looking for here, is just how can we make a profit? How can we make a profit? Just move on, make the net spend not look too bad. Obviously, Nkunku's most likely not going to play for us, although he did look good at the Club World Cup, and I'll be the first to admit that, even though I didn't really like the player at all last season. He was fairly good at the Club World Cup for us, so I do think he raised his value a little bit. That's why I'm saying you might be able to get 50 million pounds for him instead of 50 million euros, which is around like 59 million euros, 60 million euros, somewhere around there. I do definitely think you could get that for Nkunku, and I do expect them to probably move off to Bayern Munich due to the Jamal Musiala injury. But it seems we have dropped his asking price just to, pretty much get a deal for Nkunku over the line sometime in the near future before the season begins, so he can obviously go train with his new club and understand their tactics, as well as bring in money for Chelsea so they can invest into the squad with the Nkunku money that we do bring in. And that was backed up again by Fabrizio Romano, saying that Christopher Nkunku's exit from Chelsea this summer remains almost guaranteed. Nkunku wants to play more with several top clubs keen in the background. Chelsea are open to selling him since January. More contacts will follow soon, basically saying the deal might escalate in the coming days or coming weeks. Christopher Nkunku is most likely on his way out. I love the player's talent. Again, I was really excited when we brought him in a couple years ago, and I thought he really could have excelled here, but injuries really just riddled his Chelsea career, and it seems like he just wants a fresh start. He wants to restart his career, and by all means, I think that's best for him, and I think that's best for the club. And it seems like several top clubs will be in for Christopher Nkunku in the near future, so we'll see how that develops, and if we can get that 43 million pounds for him, I think everyone would be pretty satisfied with that price. Obviously, is talented enough to warrant more money coming in for him, but just doesn't have the CV at Chelsea to really warrant that price. So we'll see how this deal develops, and more from the same article. But an unnamed Champions League club are keen to sign Sterling. Chelsea will accept a bid of 20 million pounds. By all means, whoever this club is, I pray you come in for Sterling. I'd be on my knees just praying to you, please take Sterling, please take Sterling. I'd beg for as long as it takes. I'd beg for 20 minutes if you give us $20 million. And I'd also buy your club's kit. I mean, I maybe that's something I do. I know Eunice talked about it in his video, but he said a coffee, I think, and then he changed it to a kit. But if you have a player that I like on your club and you come in for Raheem Sterling, I will buy a kit and give it away to my channel. Why not? Especially if you get 20 million pounds. And it seems like an unnamed Champions League club are keen on him. And it came out later in the day that Bayer Leverkusen are among the clubs monitoring Raheem Sterling, from Sammy McBell, of BBC Sport, who is actually a very reputable source. I think one of the highest tiered sources in football. Only comes out if he knows his news is legitimate. And it seems like Bayer Leverkusen are in for Raheem Sterling, which was backed up by Ben Jacobs, saying that Raheem Sterling is drawing an interest from Bayer Leverkusen and Juventus, and Chelsea are willing to sanction an exit for £20 million. Again, please, if any money comes in for Raheem Sterling, as long as we get him off the books, to be honest, I would take that every single day of the week. I don't want that £325,000 being paid every single week. I think that means more than getting the £20 million in. I'd let him leave for 15 or 10. I really don't care, as long as Raheem Sterling is not a Chelsea player by the end of this window. Then I'm completely ecstatic with it. And yeah, that'd be a fun little thing. If y'all want to do a little giveaway, maybe we do a Chelsea jersey instead of a team that buys Raheem Sterling. But if Raheem Sterling does go, maybe we just give away a jersey if y'all would be interested in that, and there's enough love on these videos and enough support, then leave that down in the comments and I will definitely set something up for y'all. But yeah, Raheem Sterling seems like he could be at the door for potentially 20 million. But moving on to Renato Vega. Fabrizio said that Renato Vega to Atletico is advancing well, and Chelsea are seeking a £35 million package. I think I talked about this in the last video, but I do think the price is fair. I think we can get around 40 million euros, which is around 35 million pounds, which is what I anticipate Atletico Madrid paying. I think I did have this in the last video. I just wanted to put it there to show the price tag, because we have an update on Renato Vega. Athletic Universe is a very reputable Atletico Madrid's kind of like a Pice thing, so he's only going to talk about reputable sources on there. And it says that Atletico Madrid are close to finalizing the signing of Renato Vega from Chelsea. Only minor details remain, so we could potentially see a here we go sometime soon in the near future. But it does definitely seem like Renato Vega is headed off to Atletico Madrid, most likely for that £35 million. So yeah, we get a lot of money coming through the door for a player that's never going to play for us again, only played for us for 6 months, and we triple our money on that. So fair enough to Chelsea for this negotiation, fair enough to Renato Vega for bringing up his value, and really jump-starting his career, moving from Basel to Chelsea to now Atletico Madrid, due to a loan move and getting the exposure of being a Chelsea player. Got him in the Portugal national team, got him a loan to Juve, where he really excelled and played pretty well there. And now getting a move to Atletico Madrid and getting Chelsea a massive profit on the books, tripling the money that we brought in. So yeah, we can pretty much kiss goodbye to Renato Vega, who is actually a player that I really like. It's just a player that I don't really think has a spot at the club after he burnt the bridges here, which I've talked about multiple times. Didn't want to play at left back, didn't want to play at CDM, only wanted to play at left center back, but Chelsea couldn't guarantee him game time there, so he has to go out on loan. And that is why he is now leaving the club, because he burnt the bridges at the club. But we triple our money on him. The deal is close to being finalized, so that is Renato Vega headed off to Atletico Madrid sometime in the near future. On to Xavi Simons finally. Again, this is the Florian Plettenberg exclusive from earlier on, but it says that Chelsea have informed Red Bull Leipzig that they want to sign Xavi Simons, and a verbal agreement on personal terms is now close. Further talks planned for today, where things are expected to intensify, so we could potentially have a here we go in the coming days. I don't know if I will be able to make a video on that, because I am going to be out of town for the next 3 days. Definitely going to be a video out tomorrow morning, but I don't know if I can do any news past that, so maybe we get the Xavi Simons here we go while I'm out of town, which would be very annoying. Might have to do a video while I'm out of town, but yeah, further talks planned for today between Red Bull Leipzig and Chelsea to obviously negotiate the Xavi Simons fee as well as the Chukwuemeka fee, but I expect both deals to go through, and it seems like Xavi Simons will become a Chelsea player. And we've talked about the potential of Chelsea running a 2-10 formation, where there's obviously two attacking midfielders. They're just playing in the tens, left pocket and right pocket, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Cole Palmer if Xavi Simons does come through the door. Really, really good player with an exceptional amount of talent. Only 22, has the world at his feet. Can really excel. Such an exciting player on the ball. I really can't express that enough. I love the way he plays the game of football. And if you don't believe me with the way I rave about Xavi Simons, go watch Red Bull Leipzig games. I think he's going to be so good here at Chelsea, especially with Cole Palmer, allowing him to adjust to the league. I don't think there's any pressure on him to be the guy right away, especially when you have Cole Palmer. You have João Pedro, who looked great in the Club World Cup. You have a settled squad, and you're adding Xavi Simons to just um, settle that squad down even more and make it excel moving forward. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for this potential deal to go through, and it seems like further talks are expected to intensify today. Further on Xavi Simons, Fabrizio said that Chelsea are really pushing for Xavi Simons despite the Arsenal interest, which I think is good. Try to get this deal across the board. Obviously, Arsenal got Gyökeres today, and now maybe looking for Xavi Simons or Eberiche Eze, but hopefully Chelsea get this deal done before Arsenal do, register concrete interest in Chad to come to Red Bull Leipzig to agree a fee. But I do think Xavi Simons is prioritizing Chelsea because we have been negotiating for him for a couple of days now, and it seems like he believes that we are more of an intriguing prospect or project than Arsenal are. So it seems like Xavi Simons would rather come to Chelsea and most likely reject Arsenal in the process. So don't think that registered Arsenal interest really means much. I do think they end up going for Eberiche Eze, and we get Xavi Simons, who I believe is a better player through the door. Moving on to defender links, we talked about Jarell Hato before multiple times, but Chelsea are still active on Jarell Hato after opening fresh talks, says Ben Jacobs, basically saying nothing's really changed. Obviously, they're looking at bringing in Xavi Simons. We're looking at offloading a lot of players right now, and once that's done, we may look at Jarell Hato, especially once Vega's out the door. I think we just use that Vega money to pretty much fund Jarell Hato because Ajax are looking for around 40 million, or potentially a deal being struck around 40 million pounds, and Vega is leaving for around that mark. So I think once Vega goes is when we're going to ramp up our interest in Jarell Hato. I do expect him to become a Chelsea player. Pretty clear path for the incoming of Jarell Hato. Doesn't really seem like we have many rival teams, which I think is great because I do think he's a very good player, especially at that age of 19. And I think the more Cucurella ages, as it was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to Mark Cucurella. But the more Cucurella ages, the more Jarell Hato is going to have opportunities to, cement himself in the team and take over that Cucurella role. And, I think that's perfect. I think it's really good squad building by Chelsea on their accord. And I do think we need depth at that left back position as well as the left center back position, which Jarell Hato could also cover. So, again, I think this would be a perfect signing for us. And I'm glad to see we're still active on him. And then to wrap up, I think this is the last thing. Last thing we were talking about today. Caleb Wiley has completed a return to Championship club Watford on a season-long loan. Pretty decent left back if you watch him at Atlanta United. Obviously, I'm in America, so I do watch some of the MLS from time to time. And Atlanta United are one of the biggest teams in the MLS just because they have a pretty big fan base as well as playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's always nice to watch them when they play in there. But yeah, Caleb Wiley returning to the Championship. Maybe we make a profit on him. Maybe he does end up going to Strasbourg or something like that in the near future, and we end up making a profit then. Or we try to integrate him in the first team. I have no idea what the plan for Caleb Wiley is, but he's going back to Watford. He may end up signing permanently for Watford at some point because that's 2 years in a row that he's playing for Watford. You can see the jersey's already there. Not a jersey swap. He just played there on season last year. But yeah, headed back to the Championship club Watford. Think it's a good loan deal for him. Just allow him to develop physically, and maybe get Watford on a playoff push. Obviously, a mid-table Championship club last season, but maybe they could feature in the playoffs this season. But yeah, Caleb Wiley headed back to the Championship. Good for him. Maybe increase his value and potentially sell value later on for Chelsea. But yeah, that is everything in this video. Expect a new video out in a couple hours or so. Once I wake up, I'll definitely try to put something together for y'all before I end up leaving on a flight. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for the support on the videos. It doesn't go unnoticed. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.